The odds of this tropical system impacting North Carolina are increasing. I'll have the latest forecast track and intensity. Plus, I'm tracking a toasty weekend and increasing storm chances.
New trainings, locks, and cameras. Just 2 weeks out from the start of this fall semester, UNC Chapel Hill is taking safety seriously.
Then a gold medal comeback story for a former NC State swimmer. We talked to Ryan Held about the devastating moment 3 years ago that motivated him to keep swimming. Right now at 7, a busy evening here in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We are tracking 3 weather headlines for you at this hour. The risk for severe storms, dangerous heat, and we've got a tropical system. Thanks for being with us here on this Friday night. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. An active radar across our area tonight. We are under a level 1 risk for severe storms. There's also the system in the tropics, of course, that we are keeping an eye on that will have an impact on our coast as we look into next week. We want to go to meteorologist Kat Campbell with an update on all of this. Kat.
A busy night here in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We've got these storms moving in. The severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire. Still some strong winds between 40 and 50 miles per hour possible as it moves toward Orange County, moving into Roxborough and continues its trajectory toward Durham later on this evening. Here's the line that we're watching. It should gradually weaken, though, as it moves closer to central North Carolina tonight. We'll leave in about a 40% chance of a storm through midnight. Overnight, though, things quiet down for us. For today, it's a level 1 threat for severe storms. A lot more storms on the radar tomorrow. I'm thinking still a level 1 out of 5 threat for severe storms tomorrow. And then Sunday, although we have a good chance of storms, those are less likely to be severe. Now's the time to talk the tropics. This is potential tropical cyclone number 4. A bit of a confusing name here. I wouldn't focus on that. Just know as soon as it moves offshore of Cuba and over the ocean, it is likely to become Tropical Storm Debbie. Top winds right now 30 miles per hour. Keep in mind Cuba has a lot of mountainous terrain there still. It's likely to make landfall in Florida Sunday into Monday as a tropical storm. Not out of the question, though, that it could strengthen into a hurricane due to the strong wind possibility with those warm waters in the eastern Gulf. The eventual trajectory of this storm from the National Hurricane Center carries it near the North Carolina coast as a strong tropical storm as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. A big concern here that you're not able to see on the forecast track yet is that it may slow down, and this could increase the threat for some heavy rain and flooding. And we'll watch how close it gets to the Gulf Stream. If it's able to get close enough, it could tap into some of that warm water and potentially strengthen into a hurricane. Here are the model plots for what will become Debbie. There are a couple outliers in the Gulf, but the vast majority of them have it riding right along the Carolina coast next week. There are a couple that stay a bit farther out to sea. So still a lot to watch, but the bottom line here, the odds of impacts for North Carolina next week are increasing. I'll have a closer look at what's steering this system and why it's concerning that it could slow down coming up.
Got it, Kat. Thank you. Now to some breaking news in Raleigh. In the last 45 minutes, police identified the man now facing murder charges in a double shooting at a townhouse complex. Let's get straight out to WRAL's Aaron Thomas live at the scene. Aaron, what can you tell us?
Raleigh police say that Mr. Sharice McClain is the man who was shot and killed at this in-unit townhome behind me that's tucked away in the trees. If you look at your screen, we actually have a mugshot that was provided by Raleigh police. They say that Julius Wilcox is the man who is responsible for this deadly shooting. In addition to murder charges, he's charged with assault with a dangerous weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury for the assault. But to be clear, a man is dead, and a woman, Yolanda McClain, is who investigators say Wilcox assaulted. Police left Briarmont Court within the past 30 minutes. This is a scene that was busy since 10 this morning. While on scene, we have seen our fair share of investigators and people who appear to be related to the victims coming in and out of the home where the shooting occurred. The crime scene tape came down just within the past hour. So like we said, we're still seeing people coming in and out of this home. What's unclear at this point and what we're still working to find out on our late news is the what led to this shooting in the first place. Also working on speaking with those who live nearby. Aaron Thomas, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
This is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center, and in the past 30 minutes, we've gotten some new information about an arrest that has been several days in coming. This is Eric Stone, picture posted by the Lee County Sheriff's Office earlier this afternoon. This story started on Monday when Lee County deputies were trying to arrest Stone on warrants out of Harnett County, including possession of methamphetamine. Apparently, when they were trying to make that arrest, Stone jumped into a vehicle, they said, and as he was fleeing arrest, almost hit one of those Lee County deputies. They lost track of him. The next day, a Harnett County deputy spotted Stone just west of Lillington. After a lengthy search, they weren't able to find him. Apparently, there have been several sightings reported over the past few days, which led to his arrest today at Joe Collins Road in Lillington. Stone right now is in the Harnett County Detention Center being held without bond.
Brian, thank you. So police are looking for a car that was possibly connected to a drive-by shooting that killed a 7-year-old boy in Fayetteville. Detectives releasing some new surveillance video. Take a close look at this. It shows a black Chrysler 200 at a stoplight right along Danish Drive. This was some video that was captured just after midnight on June 7th. That's not far from the home where the bullets were fired and several shots went into that house, one hitting 7-year-old Zion Gibbs. He was inside that home playing video games at the time. The little boy died days later. If you know anything, you recognize that vehicle, please call Fayetteville Police.
In just a couple of weeks, UNC students start a new school year. The university is taking new steps to keep students safe nearly a year after a professor was killed on campus. UNC officials are strongly encouraging staff to take active shooter training, and they've upgraded camera systems on campus as well. WRAL's Monica Casey explains what else is being done.
One new safety measure here on campus is that you can't get into the South building without a key card. Other security measures include more cameras, classroom locks, and trainings.
In just over 2 weeks, UNC's campus will once again be bustling with college students, some away from home for the first time. The university has taken new steps to make sure those fresh faces, along with other students, faculty, and staff, stay safe. Interim Chancellor Lee Roberts told employees today license plate readers were installed at the end of the spring semester. He says they're a necessity because of UNC's open campus.
We learned after August 28th that we were actually significantly behind many of our system peers and other peers around the country. This technology has been deployed pretty broadly, which we hadn't recognized, I don't think, before.
UNC is working to make its Alert Carolina messaging more clear in times of crisis, adding a Spanish language option. The university has also hardened infrastructure, adding locks in classrooms and a more extensive camera system.
The idea is not facial recognition. It's that we just have more cameras that have the ability in more places that have the ability to generate live footage back to a central location, to our emergency management location.
UNC has new online trainings for faculty and staff, including basic safety information, how to familiarize themselves with classrooms, and how to handle emergencies. Completing them is strongly recommended before students come back. In Chapel Hill, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
Let's start our Olympic coverage tonight with a gold medal comeback story for a former NC State swimmer we have been cheering for since 2016. When Ryan Held was at NC State, he won gold at the Rio Olympics. 4 years later, he didn't even qualify for Tokyo. Now, in Paris, he got his redemption, clinching gold in the 4x100 meter freestyle relay, the same event he won the gold for in Rio. And he is showing plenty of love to NC State's swimming program for helping get him to where he is today. NC State has plenty to celebrate with 2 alumni medaling in Paris, Held and Catherine Burkhoff with the bronze. And track star Sha'Carri Richardson dominated the women's 100-meter semifinals. You can watch the reigning world champ compete again tomorrow. Keep it right here on WRAL right after this newscast for our Olympic Zone special. We'll take you behind the scenes and check in with WRAL's Liz McLaughlin live from Paris. That's at 7:30. Then it's prime time in Paris. Catch all the action you missed today, including the men's synchronized 3-meter springboard final, the women's 200-meter backstroke final, and the men's 50-meter freestyle. That's all on WRAL.
Still ahead here at 7 o'clock. We went full Ocean's 11 during the in-depth segment a little earlier this week, talking about Chilean crime rings. They've been hitting homes in the Triangle and all across the country. What's the best way to defend yourself and your home? We're going to go in depth next. It is time now for part 2 of our Chilean crime ring coverage, though I do think it deserves much more than that. I feel like I could launch a Netflix doc on this topic. I could call it Netflix and Chilean crime ring. We're still workshopping it. We did look at some of the crimes that these groups are connected to in the Triangle, like a jewelry store at Rocky Mount where they cut through the wall and vanished with $800,000 worth of stuff. The North Raleigh mansion and more than 20 other homes that got hit. One family losing more than $1 million in jewelry and high-end items. And the fact that these groups have been targeting homes in wealthy neighborhoods for years, coast to coast, using high-tech surveillance and sophisticated tactics, like ghillie suits to hide in the bushes, surveillance cameras that look like shrubbery, and Wi-Fi jammers to knock out your surveillance cameras, even taking down some alarm systems. So what can we do? How can we protect ourselves? You know, those Wi-Fi jammers are a biggie. A lot of times, knocking out the internet and the Wi-Fi means knocking out the security system as a whole. You could, for instance, hardwire your whole house, but that's very expensive. Or you could take the advice of this security expert who talked to a TV station in LA.
They could bring a jammer outside of the house, and now it makes it a little bit challenging for them to actually interfere with the signal if it's toward the center of your home.
A router in the middle of my house? First of all, my interior designer would gasp. Second of all, you know how big your house would have to be? I mean, grab your phone, take it out right now. Look at the Wi-Fi networks available around you. Do you see all of your neighbors and the ones down from that? If your Wi-Fi can reach your front yard, then someone in your front yard can reach your Wi-Fi. Meaning that the bad news is, outside of, Fort Knoxing your home, nothing is really foolproof. And these Chilean crime rings have proved that time and time again. So let's zoom out a bit, like all the way out to a global scale. You see, many of these burglars are entering the country legally using a special visa.
A break-in here, a smash and grab there. A wave of home burglaries has homeowners on edge across the valley.
What we're getting is hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, coming in through the visa waiver program that are committing residential burglaries in dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of cities and neighborhoods around the country.
It's called the ESTA program. It's a visa waiver that gives tourists up to 90 days in the U.S. And I must say, it is a very special privilege. Not every country is on this list. Of the world's 195 recognized nations, there are only 41 eligible for ESTA. Japan's been VIP since 1989. Liechtenstein joined the club in 1991. And Chile got past the velvet rope in 2014. But this is where it gets a little weird. You see, when you apply for a visa, they do a background check on you. But apparently, Chile wasn't playing by the rules. And last summer, then Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy called them out on it.
Chile is a little different than some of the others. They don't allow us to look at the criminal background when they're in Chile.
See how that can be a bit of a problem? He actually called Homeland Security to restrict travel from the country, and Chile responded almost immediately. Here's a story from just a week later after he said that in Reuters. The foreign ministry was quoted as saying, "We have given assurance, DHS, that the criminal records will be shared in order to prevent criminal tourism." They signed this agreement called the Implementing Arrangement for Preventing and Combating Serious Crime. But it begs the question, has implementing that arrangement actually helped to prevent and combat serious crime? A district attorney in Southern California doesn't think so. And he wants to know what this agreement has actually done. But DHS won't show the data. So he sued for it. That lawsuit is still waiting for its day in court, which could be as early as October. Meantime, though, as just a few months ago, California Representative Young Kim says nothing's changed.
Chilean government has to vet every single passenger that gets on the plane, but they're not doing it.
It's frustrating. It is. It's like we're in this holding pattern. We're stuck, powerless bystanders to the paperwork and international bureaucracy in front of us. But don't worry. I won't leave you hanging. I'm all about solution journalism. So with that, I'd like you to meet Bailey. Look at this towering figure here. Do you notice how she's standing, kind of flexing on you? That's what they call a power move. You see, one of the best deterrents for burglars is a dog. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, homes with dogs are less likely to be burglarized than those without. And Bailey just so happens to need a home to protect. She's one of many dogs at the Moore County Animal Shelter right now, where they are recently at capacity and waiving adoption fees because of it, including Frank Sinatra. He's still growing, just a pup. Give him time. He'll be scary here any moment now. But again, if you're trying to stop some, Danny Ocean level theft, what better way than to do it with old Blue Eyes? Let me know what you think. Send me an email at dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.
Dan, Frank Sinatra is a great name for a dog. Let's take a look now. This is a live shot at Durham. The Bulls are playing the Memphis Redbirds. It's actually Harry Potter night here. I really wish, Kat, that I could just wave a wizard wand and make any sort of rain go away here tonight, but that's not going to be the case.
It doesn't look like it. There's some storms incoming, and we're in contact with the folks over there, so we'll keep you up to date as those storms approach in Durham. The timing of that: Carborough at 7:37, Chapel Hill 7:38. Durham about 7:52. So you still have a little bit of time, but the way that these are moving, it may be a little faster than that. So we're watching these storms as they move to the northeast at about 30 miles per hour. They'll continue to push to the east this evening. And tomorrow we'll have even greater coverage of storms on the radar. Today it's about 40% coverage. Tomorrow just 20% during the midday hours. That chance goes up to 70% by tomorrow afternoon and into the evening hours. So I would have an indoor backup plan if you do have outdoor plans tomorrow. About a 70% chance of storms. There's a level 1 threat for severe storms tomorrow. Also a medium risk for flooding. Highs near 90 tomorrow, at least not in the upper 90s like today and yesterday. And by Sunday, 88. We've got a pretty good chance of some scattered storms as well. We continue to keep an eye on the tropics, on the system that will become Tropical Storm Debbie soon. There are now tropical storm watches in yellow and warnings in blue posted for the west coast of Florida and the Florida Keys. Miami not currently in any kind of watch, warning, or advisory. So let's talk about the impacts to Florida. I've already heard from folks that are traveling that way. 1 to 3 feet in storm surge, 4 to 8 inch rainfall totals along the west coast, up to a foot, and tropical storm force winds are forecast, though I'd be prepared for a Category 1 hurricane there due to just how warm the ocean temps are in the eastern Gulf. The center of the system, hard to spot, but it's right in this area, still over land in Cuba. Once it emerges over the warm water, that's when we expect it to develop. That's what's been delaying the development. And then it's likely to impact Florida with a landfall as we get into Sunday and Monday. So where does it go from there? That's the big question mark in really pinpointing our local impacts. This is the issue, though. This upper trough is pretty far to the north. It's not going to be able to pick it up and push it on out until it gets farther to the north than North Carolina. So this system is just going to be stuck between this high pressure and this high pressure that's just kind of steering it in 2 different directions like that. And that's what's likely to get it kind of stuck, moving slowly as it approaches the Carolinas. And that is our concern, is that this may be a tropical storm. It's still not out of the question that it could be stronger as it approaches North Carolina. The issue here is it may get stuck nearby, and we've seen the issues that causes here before in terms of heavy rain, some river flooding, and we will continue to watch this very closely for you over the weekend. You can check in with meteorologist Mike Mays on WRAL at 11 tonight. He will have a new track to show you and a new advisory, and we are staffed through the weekend with meetings set up to really pinpoint this information, get it out to you, and hopefully get you prepared as we head into next week. Dan.
We are on it. Thank you, Kat. Chris, what's going on in sports?
Hey, a lot of good things for this weekend. A Washington Wizards executive is giving back. What's motivating her to give back right here in Raleigh? Plus, Steve Wilkes has a new coaching job back in Charlotte, but it may not be where you think it should be. We'll have that update next in sports. A football team in Charlotte is bringing Steve Wilks on as a coach. It just won't be the Carolina Panthers. The former Panthers interim head coach is returning to his native city of Charlotte to join the Charlotte 49ers. Head coach Biff Poggi says that Wilks will be joining as a voluntary advisory in that particular role. Wilks was fired as the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator despite a Super Bowl appearance and a top 10 defense last year. Tomorrow, Broughton High School Raleigh native Amber Nichols will be putting on her For the City basketball camp. It's a way for this legend in the making to give back. I had a chance to sit down with her earlier today.
I really think this is when I got the extra effort award when I was playing at Broughton. And it's also full circle, just being able to come back to Raleigh and to Broughton specifically and do something for my community.
Since balling out at Broughton High School, Amber Nichols has gone on to do some amazing things, most recently being named the Director of Amateur Evaluation for the Washington Wizards. This weekend, she's putting on her For the City camp, which is in honor of her late cousin, Aaron Thompson, who was tragically murdered in 2020. When he passed away to gun violence, I thought about how I can help my community and how would his life have turned out differently had he been afforded, some of the same opportunities that I was afforded. Nichols is on track to one day become a general manager of an NBA or WNBA team, and she has no plans of leaving Raleigh behind. So it's really important that I did it here in Raleigh. As the camp grows, she wants to bring more resources to kids here in Raleigh and show how they can make a living on the court and from the sidelines. This was the community that helped shape my values, shape my goals, shape my personality. And the camp is sold out, but you can still volunteer or donate. Go to forthecity, 2 R's right there, .org for all the information.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chris. Everybody, stick around. We got our Olympic Zone special coming up next. We're going to take you behind the scenes and check in with WRAL's Liz McLaughlin. She is live for us in Paris. We appreciate you being with us here on WRAL News. Have yourself a great night. Enjoy the Olympics coverage and have a great weekend.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.